you're someone that watches Warzone streamers or even your own kill cams and you say, my aim assist isn't nearly as strong as what that looks like, I'm gonna reveal the secrets that top players are using to abuse aim assist in Call of Duty in order to have exceptionally accurate aim so that you can too. First, we need to define how aim assist works in Call of Duty because there's a unique feature in COD compared to other FPS games. So imagine there's a bubble around your enemies. When you start to aim and get close to this bubble, your aim will all of a sudden slow down, and when you exit the bubble, it speeds up. So it slows down and then it speeds up. So whenever you're near this bubble, it's just gonna slow down your sense, so it makes it harder for you to kind of accidentally aim past them. This is traditional aim assist and is present in basically any FPS game. But Call of Duty has an extra layer of aim assist called rotational aim assist, and this is what we can really abuse. So if I'm just standing still and nothing's happening, it's not gonna magically aim for me. It's not gonna just, auto lock onto him. But if I start applying pressure to my left analog stick and I start walking backwards, so I'm just pushing backwards into this wall, I'm not touching my right stick. You can see my hand cam, but my aim is staying very glued to him. It's not perfect. There's moments where it kind of cuts off, but as you can see, it is doing a lot. And if I get closer here, if I kind of strafe side to side across, you can see it really yank my aim at times, even though I've never touched my right stick. You also don't technically have to be moving for this to work. So for example, when I was just walking into that wall there, but I wasn't actually moving, that rotational aim assist was still kicking on. But in a real life situation, let's say you have like a half wall, like here in the firing range, if I just press forward and I walk into this while aiming, that's gonna trigger and activate that rotational aim assist. But even if you're shooting someone really far away and you don't have that cover that you can just kind of walk into and stand still, you should still be moving to some degree to activate that aim assist, forward, backward, or even laterally. Yes, you're gonna have to correct your aim a little bit as you move, but it's well worth it since that rotational aim assist will easily make up for that correction. Now, this doesn't really apply to sniping though. You can get rotational aim assist with snipers, but it's really small. So I wouldn't worry too much about trying to move and snipe due to how much it makes your scope bob up and down when moving. Another thing to add is that generally the faster you're moving, the more rotational aim assist you'll get. So for SMGs, I highly recommend using attachments like the Infiltrator stock or the Balance stock, because both of these increase our aim walking movement speed. Therefore, we can strafe and move more while we're aiming to kick on that aim assist. At close range fights, up to about from 0 to 20 meters or so, you generally want to be maximally pressing on your left stick laterally to your enemy. So that means strafing left or right while shooting at them. To help get yourself in the habit of that, you can drop into a VR casual, plunder, or even better, a private match with multiplayer bots and intentionally focus on strafing side to side while shooting in all your fights. The more you do this, the quicker it'll become a habit and you'll naturally start to do it to get more aim assist. It's totally fine to just strafe continuously in one direction, but it can also be good to kind of wiggle your stick back and forth and change directions. This will make it so that you are kind of just more unpredictable and harder to hit. And with that in mind, the other benefit of strafing while shooting is simply that you're a moving target, making it harder for your enemy to track compared to if you were just standing still. I'm gonna explain a simple but effective method I've learned to very quickly improve my aim, and this same method has been vouched for and used by hundreds, if not thousands of other people. But first, before we go too far, let's quickly make sure you have the most optimal settings for your aim. The default sensitivity setting of 1.2 is pretty slow. It'll be fine for long range aiming if you're new to the game, but if you go up against decent players with decent movement, you're gonna struggle to aim at close quarters. Now, there's no magic best sensitivity, but I normally recommend a range from about 1.4 to 2.1 being most ideal. Start low and then slowly work up, but don't change your sensitivity more often than every few days, since it'll take you some time to adjust each time you change your settings. Next, let's discuss Deadzone, because the default Deadzone settings are horrendous for having good aim. The right stick minimum is arguably one of the most important ones here, and when it's at 15, basically that means that the first 15% of movement on your right analog stick, nothing happens, so it's a wasted dead zone. So we need to turn this way down. For a newer player, coming down to about 5 is really good. I recommend anywhere between 2 and 5 for most people, and personally, I play at 2. I'll then just max my left stick minimum to the same as what my right stick is, and then for the left stick maximum, I recommend turning this down a good bit, maybe to around 60 or 70 or so. This will help your movement quite a bit. One thing to be aware of though is stick drift. So if I go all the way down to 0 on my right stick minimum here, and if you zoom in, you're gonna see that my analog stick or my crosshair is moving very slightly despite me not touching the analog stick. That is stick drift. every controller is bound to get this eventually. Now, if your stick drift is really fast and you're moving all over the place without touching it, then you might want to consider getting a new controller. But if it's really minimal like this, it's not a big deal. And actually, this maybe could help increase your aim assist theoretically. So generally, you should turn your right stick minimum dead zone up until your stick drift stops or is very, very minimal. But if you're getting to the point where you're going beyond 10 or so and you still have lots of drift, you probably want to consider investing in a new controller. Now, if you never want to worry about having stick drift again, there is a solution. You could get what's called a Hall effect controller. Hall effects replace those physical contacts of your analog stick that get worn down with magnets. And these magnets can always be recalibrated so that there's never stick drift. A lot of different companies are starting to make Hall effect sticks because of this reason. However, many high-level players don't love Hall effects because their sensitivity and just feel isn't quite one-to-one or the same as a normal analog stick. However, there's a new technology that's just now coming to the market called TMR sticks, which stands for tunnel magnetoresistance. And this uses quantum tunneling, whatever that means, with between magnetic layers to detect the position of the sticks. AKA, it's just way more sensitive and stable compared to a traditional Hall effect stick. Long story short, it's gonna have the same feel and precision of regular sticks, but with the added benefit of never getting stick drift like Hall effects. And honestly, one of the best things you can do to improve your aim and just overall gameplay in Call of Duty or any FPS game is to invest in a custom pro controller like the one that I use from aimcontrollers.com. And probably snag a pair of those new TMR sticks while you're at it, since they have access to this technology. These can come with custom analog stick height. So on mine, I use a tall right stick, which is 6 millimeters taller than a normal one. And this extra height, it just gives me more surface area to aim, allowing me to be much more precise with where I place my crosshair. They also have digital tap mouse click triggers, which makes shooting guns like pistols or any semi-auto gun way easier and faster. And these can be toggled on and off with a button in case you want that full trigger pull if you're gonna play another game like a racing game. And then my favorite part is that these come with 4 reprogrammable paddles on the back. So you can map buttons like your jump and slide to them so that you can simultaneously jump and slide while you never take your right thumb off the analog stick, so you can aim and move all at the same time. And the best part about all of this is that these controllers come with a lifetime warranty on all the modded parts. So if it happens to break, you just send it back and cover the shipping instead of having to buy an entirely new controller. Now, at the moment of me making this video, aimcontrollers.com is having one of its biggest sales ever with the one price no limit sale, where the price is capped at $189, meaning you can add those TMR sticks in any custom feature and design that you want, but the price will stay capped at $189 as long as you use code TCaptainX at checkout. This is also a great way of supporting me if you choose to do so. I would greatly appreciate it. There'll be a link in the video description if you want to check it out. And if you want an in-depth video of exactly how I set my aim controller up, I'll link my full settings video where I cover this as well in there. All right, back to the video and the rest of your settings. If you want to be able to move around and not feel like a snail, but have your sensitivity slow down when you aim your gun only, this is where adjusting your ADS sensitivity multiplier can be very valuable. Now, if you're on the low end of that scale that I recommended, maybe 1.4 to 1.6, be careful turning this down much lower than about 0.85, because then you're gonna really struggle to aim at close quarters when people come across your face at very close range. But if you're on the higher end, you could turn this down as low as maybe 0.6 or so, and this will allow you to have much slower, more precise aim when aiming, but faster aim when you're just walking around. Last but not least, your aim response curve type is a very important setting, and surprise, surprise, the default setting of standard isn't all that good. What standard does is the more you push on your right analog stick farther from its center, the more your sensitivity accelerates or ramps up. This allows you to spin more quickly when you press maximally in one direction. But dynamic has an S-shaped curve with this acceleration, and it actually slows down some around the middle of your right stick threshold. So when you're pressing your right stick around 50%, it's actually a little bit slower compared to when you ramp it all the way up. And this area is where you mostly do find precision aiming, like when you're trying to line up a long shot or track someone accurately. So dynamic gives us more control and precision when aiming, but still allows us to change directions quickly, allowing you to have the best of both worlds. Now, there's also linear, and some people swear by this for good aim, but unless you play at a higher sense, you'll struggle to turn around and change directions more quickly, since there's not that ramp up effect like standard or dynamic. So I won't bore you any longer with settings, but like I said, if you need a full in-depth settings guide, I have both a controller and graphic settings video on my channel that I'll leave linked in the video description. All right, finally, let's talk about how we can actually very quickly improve your aim aim itself now that you have a better understanding of how to maximize aim assist, and hopefully that your settings are in a much better spot too. Like anything in life, the more reps you put in, the better you tend to get. If you want a stronger bench press, you should probably bench press more often. And getting better at Call of Duty, especially aiming, is quite similar. But there's a few ways that we can maximize those reps and make them more efficient. Now, the absolute most optimal way to do this is if you own the Black Ops 6 multiplayer, because we can start a private match. But if not, we can definitely get a lot out of still with Warzone Bootcamp or BR Casual. For the multiplayer option, let me first walk you through how to set up for a private match. So hit find a match, go down to private match, and then hit create. Under game setup, we're gonna do free for all. For the map, go all the way left, and we're gonna do Babylon. And then for the rules, adjust time limit and score limit as you see fit. Max health to 250, health regen to fast, and then under gameplay, just turn score streaks off. Lastly, go over to the right here and hit the plus button, and then add 11 recruit bots and hit confirm. For your class, generally an overkill loadout with 2 of your favorite SMGs or an AR is perfectly fine. And if you have no idea what to run, I have multiple loadout videos on my channel where I break down my favorite class setups. You also might want to consider running the scavenger perk because this will allow you to replenish your ammo as you go. Once you load in, you of course could just start going at it and killing bots, and that's fine. But the best way to actually learn how to feel your aim assist and be one with the aim assist is to turn that shit off. Now listen, you're gonna suck at first, and that's okay. Learning to aim without aim assist is literally like taking the training wheels off. You're gonna fall, but you're a tough cookie. You can get back up. If you're limited on time, literally just 5 to 10 minutes of this. Personally, I only do about 50 bots without aim assist, and that takes me about 5 minutes as part of my daily warm-up. But I will say on days I skip my warm-up, I noticeably have worse aim, especially for the first hour or so of playing. Now, if you're doing this in BR Casual or Bootcamp, you just won't get as many reps in, and you'll probably struggle when you run into real players since the entire lobby isn't just bots. But try playing a game, maybe 2 games like your warm-up, and this will still help you. Before you end though, make sure you turn your aim assist back on, and remember, really focus on strafing laterally with that left stick while you're shooting. And usually when people do this, this is the part where it's like that come to Jesus moment and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel the aim assist now. Of course, this is also a great time to practice other things like your movement. So when I do this quick little warm up, I'll usually try to throw in some slide cancels or jump shots, dives between every fight, even if it's not necessary, just to kind of get in the habit of that so that it becomes second nature, just like while strafing while shooting to help increase that aim assist. If you're more concerned about working on long range engagements or even sniping, you can do that too with this method, but just change the map to a bigger one. And perhaps adjust the health values so that your sniper will still one-shot headshot, since multiplayer can be a little bit quirky with damage since it's different than Warzone. Now, every time I make a video explaining how to get better aim, I usually get a few comments like, well, I don't have time to do all that. And my answer is tough shit. I want to be as good as Steph Curry and be shooting 3-pointers like him, but I don't spend any time practicing my 3-point shot, so I can't expect to get any better at it. Also, let's be honest, Steph Curry is 100 times more talented than me than I ever will be at basketball, probably more than 100 times. So that's not helping my case either. Just like how Biffle or Aiden or name any other big Warzone streamer or competitor is probably way more naturally gifted about being just good at video games than you and I. Now, I'm pretty good at video games, but I'm certainly not the best. However, I've been pretty efficient with spending time practicing to get better, which has helped me, especially when it comes to my aim. I hope this video has helped. Don't forget to use code TCaptainX at aimcontrollers.com and take advantage of that big sale that's going on. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and come say hi in a stream here on YouTube or on Twitch. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.